Hey,
What?
let's up and hear me out. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about Arena Breakout Infinite and the current state of the beta and what we can expect and hope for going into full release. The devs have already stated that the release is probably going to be sooner than a lot of us expect. My guess is going to be that the beta is going to keep getting extended up until full release, so there's no downtime from us not playing Arena Breakout Infinite. In this video, I'm gonna be going over the good, the bad, the things I like, the things I don't like, the things that need to be changed going into full release. I think this game has incredible potential, but there definitely are some things that make the game tough to play that don't help the player experience. So if you've been playing the beta or you're a mobile gamer who is on Arena Breakout, I would love to hear from you down in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, like it. If you love it, make sure you are subscribed. I plan on going full-blown Arena Breakout Infinite content from this moment on. I'm gonna be live streaming all of it over on Kick. So I hope to see you there. Ready? First and foremost is going to be matchmaking, region locking. I hope that as a NA player, I can only play with NA people unless I choose to play with people outside of my region. Far too many times I will have 100+ ping in a game where one shot can take all of your stuff away, and I'll either have issues with server lag or desync. Next, we have the pay-to-win debate conversation that has polarized the Arena Breakout community. The Arena Breakout mobile game has a lot of pay-to-win features where you can buy cosmetics, you can buy weapons, you can buy money with money. And I think that's a lot of how mobile gaming is in general, is that people are fine with paying money for things in-game. The issue with PC is that the skill gap and like the difference in skill is going to be 100x of what maybe mobile gamers are. I know that there's really good mobile gamers that might clap me on my PC, but let's be honest, the technology and just what you have available to you as a PC gamer, as well as cheaters, there's a lot of things that you can run into that make this game unbearable if you can have pay-to-win features. The game is free to play. You do need, as a developer, to make money. I'm not against paying for certain things in game that might give you a helmet or a weapon, whatever it may be. I don't have an issue. Now, that being said, it is a very, 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 very fine line that can be crossed incredibly easily. I think that you still have to grind for your gear, you have to earn your gear, you have to quest, you have to win your battles, you have to extract safely. That should be the main priority. But in a situation where I'm at now, where I didn't win the Forbidden Zone 4, 5, 6 times in a row, and I'm really down bad right now, I don't mind spending $10 and maybe get 100,000 coins, something along that nature. I still might go into the Forbidden Zone and get clapped. Or that one kit that I just use real money for saves me and it starts a streak for me. In the PC world, the better player will usually win. That's not always, especially if there's a camper, but that's beside all of the point. We'll see how this is implemented. I don't want to jump the gun too much on this. I don't mind the idea of pay to win, but there is absolutely some very scary paths that Arena Breakout Infinite can go down to completely make their players not want to play because you can pay. I've got all my notes for the things I want to mention in this video, including the fact that I have 80 hours-ish in the game currently for the beta. That equals to 344 raids, which has earned me 15 million. Now, that might sound a lot within the game, but that comes out after doing the math to about 43k per raid, which brings our most glaring issue into the game. Just to show you what 43k can get you in this game, we're gonna go to the market. We're gonna look at equipment. Let's say we had 43k only to spend. We could probably use half of it on a helmet, but we wouldn't do that. So we would get something in a tier 3, which doesn't really block anything. You can go the body armor, unarmored rig, but let's say we're still trying to save money. We would probably get an armored rig. Again, anything tier 4 is going to be more than half of your money, and you still don't have anything equipped. Backpack, of course. You can go for something cheap, like an $800 backpack, and hopefully you can kill somebody and take their stuff. But here comes the most exciting part, the gunsmith. Two things to mention in this topic specifically. I know that we are still in beta, so take this part with a grain of salt, but I do hope that there is so much more weapon customization with full release. Not only weapons themselves, but if I want to throw 4 flashlights and the most insane Frankenstein builds in ABI. Let's just say you want to make a semi-decent AR. Now the M4A1 is probably one of the more popular guns in the game. You can fully customize it. There is a lot of features that you can use for it, and it's a really good gun. Starting out alone, if we just wanted to do the base gun itself, would be 40K. So like I said, I earned 43K on average for every raid, so this itself would pretty much clear me out completely. So for to mod this gun, just to put a scope, a suppressor, and a grip on it, it becomes significantly more expensive. If we do select all, the gun itself would be 133K. Now you can lose that in one raid, or you can earn a bunch of money with it. It really depends on, you know, how your raids go. The point of bringing all this up is that money is scarce and the economy is bad. Being in a closed beta, of course, things may not sell as quickly or as often as they might feel in the full release when there's more players to buy things. But even the pricing for some gold and purple items seem incredibly low. If you have a successful raid, you get some purples, maybe you get one gold item, your loot value at the end of your raid might range between 40 to 60K depending on what that value is. Those things may not sell, and if they do, you need to make sure that if you're investing your money into a kit as expensive as 100K plus, that you're surviving 4 or 5 raids in a row and making that 43K per raid quota. To sum everything up, the economy is bad and there's no reason to spend money. If players are afraid to lose money and their good gear and have gear fear, the game very much turns out to play like an Escape from Tarkov, where it turns to a rat fest. Because yes, while success might be in PvP, the real success is actually how much money you can have in the economy, how much you can replenish your gear if you lose it, and the things that you can use and buy in the game. And if that becomes increasingly more difficult to do as a player, one, you might lose a lot of your players because the game becomes much more difficult. And again, two, players just may not be excited to play because you might lose a kit and they don't want to play because it's so hard to get money back. As we get into a lot of the gameplay stuff and mechanics within the game, I want to start first and foremost with spawn locations. This is going to be a diagram of farm and all of these spawn locations and how close proximity all of these are. This is bad for a multitude of reasons, starting with solo queuers. Being in Arena Breakout's Discord, as well as following closely at all of their tweets. The number one issue is definitely people not getting keys, but the second one absolutely being spawn locations and solo queuers. A game like Escape from Tarkov, where there is no indicators for really anything, teams have to be more careful in firefights, which may give solos or even duos an advantage to be able to know where one person is versus 3. In Arena Breakout, you know where your teammates are at, which I actually love, but I can understand how that's frustrating for people who play solo and even duo. And to add that on top of everything, the spawn locations are terrible and the funneling off of spawn is incredibly aggravating. Like this right here, I spawn in to Villa on the port side and immediately just walk up on a random solo that had a decent kit on. Not only does this just suck in the beginning of a raid because it's really just a coin toss on who can turn on each other fast enough, but it makes the mid game and even the end game incredibly boring. When you go into a raid, it's nice to get your bearings, maybe loot a location, and know that other teams are going to be trying to push hot locations. But every time I go to farm and go to stables or motel, there's not really any teams there. And the same thing with going into valley and going to factory or villa. You might have the occasional teams that rotate the right way, but overall, a lot of the teams die early because of spawn locations. In terms of solo queuing, I don't really think it needs to be added. I've solo queued. I've had some of the best raids as a solo. You have to play the game completely different, and there's an auto match feature. It doesn't work all of the time, but hopefully that's something that as well can be fixed, is that if you have auto match on, you're going to get at least one teammate. I made a recent video of Arena Breakout versus Gray Zone Warfare, and I mentioned how both games are still in early access or beta, and that they're not fully optimized, and I got completely flamed for not having a 40 or 30 series PC. Yes, my PC definitely is in the time period of probably needing an upgrade. But in terms of, I would think, majority of PC players, I'm still in the upper percentile for people who have better builds. In Arena Breakout, my stream can just not handle optimizing the game as well as the stream. When I play other games, it's completely fine. So I bring that up, that hopefully there are some more optimization features, graphical settings, and stuff that we can tweak and tailor to your rig to hopefully run the game smoother. I've seen a lot of people complain about the movement in the game. I don't hate it, I don't love it. I think that I do miss some of the Escape from Tarkov mobility, especially with vaulting now, that you do feel somewhat parkour-ish when you know jump spots and are able to do some really cool plays with movement. I would love to see left shoulder swapping so that right hand peekers don't get the advantage every single time. Scope clarity in magnification is absolutely terrible. First and foremost, if you have a sight that has to swap to the iron, the scope magnification bind currently does not work. And that makes me not to want to run some of the scopes that I do have to cycle through all sights. And the scope clarity is awful. You can see players pretty well, but the visual clutter and some of the pixelation through a scope is really bad. Where you look at Escape from Tarkov, you look through a scope and it still seems pretty clear. I do have all of my settings on medium, but even if they're on medium, that's still higher than low. So I'm hoping that maybe there is a low setting that comes down the line and you can just get rid of some of the visual clutter that is currently on the screens. I like to hold to lean instead of toggle to lean. The hold to lean is really weird. It wants to do toggle, but it stays leaning and it feels bad, especially sometimes when I'm in a fight. Transitioning when you're from light to dark or even dark to light, there's again a lot of non-visibility. So if I'm opening this door at a small factory and there's a guy peeking it, I can't see anything. I think it's fine. Maybe it's semi-realistic to have, you know, your pupils dilate, but it really takes away from the experience of like, why would I ever open this door? Another one is window clarity. I feel like some of them might have been adjusted, but looking through some of these windows is incredibly difficult. And when I mean difficult, I mean literally zero idea if there is anybody behind the window staring at me, which definitely needs to get worked on. The recoil in the game seems kind of fine, kind of bad. Some of the guns feel better than others, despite attachments. I know this is probably a really big ask and not something really that would ever happen, but the recoil rework for Escape from Tarkov, where the gun goes back and up versus just up, seems one, more logical and realistic, as well feels better in Tarkov with that recoil rework. Nade indicators are very bad. You might throw a nade and it might stay on your screen, not knowing if maybe you chalk the throw or if it's just an indicator that is bad. The underhand doesn't seem to work because you need to right click to pull it to indicate that you're hitting underhand, but then you underhand it and it's not really an underhand. This game did come from mobile, so I understand some of like the out of bound areas you're not able to get to, but that's kind of aggravating with PC. Some of the rocks or drop-offs or whatever it may be, I'm not able to access just because that's an invisible wall. I hope I see some of that kind of go away because I don't know why they're there. That could just be me just overreaching, but it seems like some of these areas that I either might try to run to or from or drop off or whatever, I'm not able to do, so kind of restricts some of your rotations, movements, whatever it may be. So those are just some things in Arena Breakout that I've just noticed that are just annoying. None of them are like game breaking by any means, but there is one thing that is game breaking currently, and that is the 338, the SJ16. It completely one taps everything in the game. I bought the most expensive $220,000 helmet, which you're gonna see in this clip right here, and I end up getting one tapped in the head. I get it, it's a 338. It's the only 338 in the game, but there needs to be some sort of trade-off that if I'm buying the most expensive items in the game to not get one tapped and it still does it, what's the point? Forbidden Zone is absolutely infested with 338s as well as thermals. That was something that I wanted to mention in the kind of nerfs and buffs situation, where I think there are three major things that need to get nerfed. One being the AP slugs that can one tap again anything. It's not as consistent as the SJ16 obviously, but I did watch Trey 24K stream, and it's about every 1 in 5 shots have an opportunity to one tap you. The SJ16, as I already mentioned, needs an absolute nerf where maybe it just doesn't pen tier 6 armor or helmets, or at least it just doesn't kill you. That's something that needs to be balanced. And the last one is so incredibly throttling, and it was in Escape from Tarkov and is still Tarkov, is thermal imaging. The thermal in Arena Breakout is absolutely busted. This is where some of those things that I mentioned earlier, where you might have an area that might be your only cover, but you can't go to it because it's technically out of bounds. Maybe the movement isn't as good as we need it to be, but basically if you have a guy with a 338 and thermal, you're more than likely gonna lose that fight. I've never won that fight because they can see me way before I can see them. So that's pretty much all of my notes. I think that we hit a lot of good things. I want to say overall, I do love this game. It's in beta and I'm incredibly addicted to it. I'm constantly checking traders. I'm constantly trying to see if things sold, and I'm always excited to get a kit. If I miss anything, leave a comment down below. These have been notes that I've been taking over the past month, just kind of slowly piecing together things that are annoying and might need fix going into full release. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna be live streaming on Kick. And thank you so much for 7,000 subs. It's been a number that I've been chasing for a while, fluctuating between games and not knowing what to post, but Arena Breakout Infinite has been amazing. So seriously, thank you for your support, and here is to the road to 10K. Thank y'all for watching. Have a great day.